Time now on the It's Official podcast to talk about the Pegasus World Cup, the big card coming up Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Stakes galore. We've got the main event, the Pegasus World Cup, anchoring everything in race number 13. Jeremy Plonk, Jeff Siegel with the weekly It's Official podcast. I want to welcome those of you who are watching within the confines of the first Pegasus World Cup wager guide. We've got all the handicapping you need to handicap the big races on Saturday at Gulfstream there. Here we do the podcast each and every Tuesday. Be sure to join us throughout the course of the year. Pegasus World Cup. Let's take a look at the field, Jeff Siegel. It was drawn on Sunday in South Florida. Handicapper Brian Nadeau at Gulfstream Park, the morning line maker, installed White Abarrio, the Breeders' Cup Classic winner from 2 years ago, the 3-1 second choice, because the morning line favorite is the Cigar Mile winner, Locked. Locked at 5-2, just one loss in his last 5 starts for trainer Todd Pletcher. Is it a 2-horse race? Is it White Abarrio against Locked, or do we bring the Kentucky Derby winner into the mix? Mr. Dan trying to get his first win since the Run for the Roses back in May. Top heavy field if you look at some of the morning line prices, and Saudi Crown in post 2 could be lone speed on the inside at 9-2 for trainer Brad Cox. Let's talk about the field for the Pegasus World Cup, Jeff.
Well, Brian did a great job here. I think I would have made the line very similar, which doesn't make it right, by the way. But I saw the odds looking for some overlays or underlays, and I think he's got it spot on here. As a gambler, I understand why Locked is the favorite, but I have some reservations, which I expressed in the guide, which you will be able to read when it comes out. And that is, number one, I don't like the draw on Locked. That's a little farther out I want to be. He's training well. He's not that flashy in the morning. That's one of the reasons why he was 12-1 when he made his debut, because he really hadn't shown that much. So I've come to the conclusion here that Locked is kind of lazy, which is one of the reasons why he has to train in company. He did look good here, and he beat Krupe, who's a decent sort of horse. But the other problem with Locked is, and maybe I'm off base on this, but I'm not sure he's better 2-turning than he is 1-turning. He's got a couple of 1-turn races. He won the 7-furlong allowance race, and then he won the Cigar Mile, which is a 1-turn race. Now, you say, well, didn't he win a grade 1 as a 2-year-old? Yes, he did. Yeah. But I didn't think that was as good as his 1-turn races. Now, here he's going to easily beat Krupe. He's under mild coaxing only. He's much, much better than the workmate. Not really being asked. He only went in 49-1, so it wasn't like he's going out there in 46. He's doing what he was told to do, and that's fine. But if you look at him and then compare him to Mr. Horse for Course White Abarrio, who's drawn much, much better, I don't know. I mean, now he's working here with Silver Moonlight on the outside. She's like a starter allowance 50 type of filly, so she's not going to keep up with them. But, you can see how eager White Abarrio is on the rail and never off the bridle at all. He went in 48-1, but he probably could have gone a lot faster. You can see the hammerlock that he's under. And I don't think they wanted anything particularly fast this close to the race. But, man, if you let him roll out of there, and if he wanted him to go 46, he would have done it. And I thought his last race, even though he got beat, he got left. He didn't get left at the gate, but he stumbled badly at the start, lost his chance, rallied from far back, did as well as he could have possibly have done to run in that race. Now he's got those 2 races under his belt off the layoff, nice post, track we like. I, to me, have much more confidence in White Abarrio than I do Locked under these conditions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think White Abarrio being on the inside in that work kind of goes to what Saffie Joseph Jr. said in an interview of, we've got to be up into the race. We've got to break better. We've got to be into it. When you've got the horse on the inside in a work and a team work like that, those are usually the ones that you want to be a little more aggressive. And on the outsides, when you're trying to teach a horse to relax and be patient. So I think they're going to get White Abarrio right into the mix in the Pegasus World Cup. And there's not much speed in there. We talked about Saudi Crown in the 2-hole. The 4-hole's a great draw here for the mile and an eighth at Gulfstream Park. He's going to be faster than Mixto and New Grange. So Saudi Crown goes out. White Abarrio might sit a really nice second in here. Could he have to do the dirty work and go after Saudi Crown a little sooner than you might want? That could be the case, but it's a short stretch run at Gulfstream Park. Not a really long stretch there. So you want to be engaged with the front runner by the top of the lane anyway, I think, to be effective. We have seen some closers have some success there over the years, but not in this race. The Pegasus World World Cup has been a race dominated by speed. I think the previous 8 winners of this race, this is the 9th edition, all 8 winners have been within 3 lengths of the lead. I mean, this is not a race for horses coming from far off of it. So I expect White Barrio to be right up in the mix. But Saudi Crown's going to take him as far as he can. He's a little inconsistent. When he fires, he's good. When he doesn't, he's really bad. Locked on the outside, how much will they be able to use from him from post 11 to avoid some ground loss? Be interesting to see how it shakes out. Jeff, talk about Mystic Dan quickly, the Kentucky Derby winner from last year. I watched him train. They look like a fast work on time, but then when I watched the work, they're like getting after him. I mean, he was asked to get the time that he got in his most recent work. He didn't lift up a hoof at Santa Anita. An excuse there, it was a van ride all the way from New Orleans to L.A. and back to run in the Malibu Stakes last time because it was around the Christmas holiday. There were no FedEx planes. He was able to travel in a little more style to South Florida. Maybe the long trip to Southern California got to him in the race, but he also had the return trip back, So I'm not sure what to make of Mystic Dan. I don't know where he's at in his form because he hasn't run a big race since the Preakness when he ran second, and he hasn't won a race since the Kentucky Derby.
I mean, I saw him out here in California. I saw him breeze before the race. He looked fine to me. And he could not have run worse than he ran out here. He looked soft to me. He looked like he wasn't mentally or physically ready in the actual race. He was last early, but he was under a nice hold. If he doesn't get up, if he makes a move and doesn't pass, the leaders, but still finishes well and gallop out, okay, he needed it. He never ran a yard, never made a move, even when he was asked. In fact, the jock actually eased up on him almost at the 8th pole because he knew he had nothing underneath him. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to take a horse like that, who, as you pointed out, hasn't run a good race since May, and I'm going to run him a bet on him against what we've seen here. There's not a chance in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he beats me, I feel good about it because I know I could never wager on a horse like that, especially the one that I saw out here less than a month ago. So 8-1, I would need 30-1 to take him.
Right. I mean, you think about the task that's posed ahead of you. You got Brad Cox with potential lone speed, right? You got to beat that. You've got White Barrio, a Florida Derby winner and a Breeders' Cup Classic winner who's training well over the track that's his home track. You've got to beat that with a good post draw. Then you've got Locke, who's only had 1 loss in the last 13 months. He doesn't lose very often coming out of a win in the Cigar Mile for Todd Pletcher. You've got to beat Cox, Pletcher, and Safi, all with horses in really good form and with some advantages built into those 3. I don't know where the path to victory comes, as you're trying to draw one up. I don't know where the path to victory comes where all 3 of those do not fire their shot. And Mystic Dan suddenly runs something that we haven't seen, in 9 months now, or however long it's been since last May, 7-8 months. It's a lot to ask, but it's great to have the Kentucky Derby winner in the race. I'm glad he's at the top stages still as a 4-year-old. I just don't know if the Malibu was a great spot for him last time, and I don't know if he's set for this particular race on Saturday again. He could have a very productive year, but it's a winter of just kind of I don't know, man. I don't like the spots. I don't like the spots for him.
I tell you, Jeremy, he was cold on the board when he ran in the Malibu. So I thought he was ready. I didn't know. I hadn't watched him breeze. So somebody knew that he was not there. The other thing is, and concluding on my enthusiasm for White Barrio, not only, as you pointed out, did he draw well, but if you look at his PPs, his form, he seems most effective when he can stalk outside another horse while close up. Right. He doesn't like to be in the front end. I think he gets a little lost when he does that. But if he can follow somebody one off the rail, that's what he loves to do. And that's exactly how this race shapes up. Saudi Crown goes, White Barrio just sits there, and then that's what he wants to do. And then he cuts. So I think the fact that Saudi Crown is a likely pace setter and drawn inside of him makes it even more perfect for White Barrio. So having said all of this, I'm not going to give him any excuse either if he doesn't fire, but I think he will.
The Robin and the Batman on Saturdays, the Pegasus World Cup Turf, the co-feature on the program. Take a look at the field for the Pegasus World Cup Turf. 14 have entered. 12 will go. 2 also eligibles in this particular spot. Mi Hermano Ramon at 8-1, a horse who's got Millie Ballseye out in Southern California. Be sure to check out Millie's thoughts in the first wager guide for Pegasus World Cup Day. She's got the handicapping chores of the Pegasus World Cup. Jeff took a look at the Pegasus in the wager guide. I look at the Filly and Mare Turf. But Jeff, as we take a look at the turf, you've got Integration for Shug McGahee, beaten favorite in this race last year. He's back for another shot. He was in company working recently with his stablemate, Battle of Normandy, and both have earned Shug's plug to go on to the Pegasus.
Well,
they are working in company on the outside. Integration. Pick it up, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, Integration is a good horse, and he's a turf horse, so maybe he doesn't work that well on the dirt. He's being niggled at here, whereas Battle of Normandy is on the inside, is just breezing along. And Battle of Normandy, if you look at form only, is not nearly as accomplished as his workmate, but he's toying with him here. Gallops out really, really well. And if you look at Battle of Normandy as a son of City of Light, as now a 5-year-old, yeah, I mean, the City of Lights have gotten good. Battle of Normandy earned a career top number when he won the River City. He's got great tactical speed, doesn't need the lead to win, but if you give him the lead, he'll be happy to take it. But he's best as a stalker. And he, to me, freshened since November. I think he's a horse that's advancing now as he gets older and stronger. I can't make him win based on form, but I can make him win if his improving pattern continues. And at 20-1 on the morning line, that's, to me, he's worth a gamble. I'm not saying he shouldn't be 20-1. I'm saying I think he's going to run better than 20-1. And if he makes one more forward move, in a race that will allow him to be just in the first flight, probably where he wants to be, I think he's got a chance. I really do. I mean, you're looking for price horses here. The other one that I think is pretty good, and again, same situation with Formidable Man. Here's another horse by City of Light, and he's drawn beautifully. You can't make him win based on speed figures. He's not fast enough on numbers to win, but he's a newly turned 4-year-old, just won the Hollywood Derby, won his last 3. He's getting better and better and better for Michael McCarthy. And I think he's another one that's going to outrun his odds. Other than that, they all look alike. Now, you, to me, have done more research on the race than I have. I want to know what you think.
Well, I think you're onto the right kind of horses because I'm not sold on Nation's Pride. He's the 2-1 morning line favorite, deserving favorite in what he's done, but he's so inconsistent. And most recent start in Bahrain back in November. We've seen these Charlie Appleby and Godolphin horses travel all over the world, Rebels Romance and such. But Nation's Pride to me is just kind of up and down. He won the Arlington Million here. He won the Canadian International in Canada. He can handle the trip to the U.S., but this is kind of a top of the ground turf course, a little bit different than some that he's had success on. I'm going to take a shot against him in here. This is a horse I think yielding ground up at Woodbine. Softer ground is better for him. We are to get some rain in South Florida on Wednesday and Thursday in the forecast this week. So maybe there'll be a little bit of give into the ground, and that would certainly help the horses with some of that international experience and foreign pedigrees. Nation's Pride, a grandson of the great Galileo. So, you could make a case for him, but I don't want to take him at a short price. So I'm in there looking and fishing around for some prices. I think Formidable Man's interesting because there's not a lot of pace in here. Could show some speed and be in it for a long ways. But I think this is probably of the 3 Pegasus races, this might be the better gambling race of the 3. Rakia is a pretty good-looking favorite, I think, in the Filly and Mare Turf, but she does have one long shot that I've got my eye on in that race. So be sure to check out the guide for a long shot pick in there. And as for the undercard, too, give out a horse I really like. It's going to be our express bet race of the week, the La Previante Stakes, race number 7 on the card. La Mahana, I think, is a horse who's going to love the 1.5 miles. Prove it over the course, prove it over 1.5 miles for Christophe Clement. And I think it's La Mahana and the La Previante to give me La Mula, Jeff. I'm looking to get paid in that one, so that's my top play on the undercard for Pegasus Day.
Yeah, I like your selections there. I'm kind of disappointed to hear about the rain possibility because that'll normally.
It looks good for Saturday, but again, during the week.
Yeah, but if it's a little give in the ground, that's not going to do him any good. And I love Rakia because I saw her out here win the Gold Cova, the filly that she beat, came back and won the Matriarch. But she too has a couple of soft ground races that weren't that good. Now, soft ground there, it could be a bog, and overseas and here they might run 1 mile and 16th and 140 as opposed to 1 mile and 16th and 139 or something. That's not exactly soft. So I'll see how it plays on Saturday. See if I'm still as enthusiastic as I am. But great card, isn't it? I mean, top to bottom, every race, really good maiden races on the card as well. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday at Gulfstream.
Be sure to check back into the first Pegasus World Cup wager guide for updates throughout the week. We'll have the artificial intelligence picks, all kinds of data updated throughout the course of the racing week. Good luck Saturday playing Gulfstream Park.